All right, we're going to do something really fun today. Deploy something. What should we deploy? RESTful tasks?
No.
No!
Rate the cake. I think everyone likes cakes.
Everyone wants to deploy rate my
cake.
cake. Okay, I have a version from when I taught this before that we can deploy, if you guys insist. All right, so let me find this project. Rate my cakes.
If we bring cake, does that guess?
It's funny that's the one that I demoed for deployment last time too, because everyone was doing cakes. All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone was doing cakes last
Rate my cakes.
Are you talking about cakes like drugs?
Yeah, I'm on
Alan, are you doing cakes?
No, I finished product manager.
Alan doesn't do that.
Alan's a monster, so.
Alan is definitely a
I
monster.
expect nothing less.
Well, if you were really a monster, you'd be taking it tomorrow with Todd.
Don't do that.
Another black powder.
Don't do that.
Hopefully.
All right, guys. So here we go. Rate my cakes. I think I already have a Git repository set up for this. So what I'm going to do is delete it so that we can kind of start as if we were doing this from scratch. So if you do an ls-la in your project directory, you'll see I've got this .git folder here. So it's a hidden folder. We can't see it in the left of our or in our sidebar, but we know it's there. That means that there's a Git repo. Now, if I delete that folder entirely, it's basically like eliminating my Git repo completely. So let's just do that. We'll do rm-rf.git. Okay. And now if I were to do something like git status, notice that we're not inside of a Git repository because I just deleted it, right? So let's create a new one because this is going to be something that you'll have to do when you're going to deploy your project. We'll say git init. Okay, and now I have all these things in green. What's that telling me? Yeah, well, exactly. So we've started our repo, and then we've got all these things that aren't yet being tracked. So if I say git status, we've got all these folders and files that are not yet being tracked. So does anyone know how I add those so that they can be tracked?
Git add.
Git add. Yeah, and then what this space dot means is that I'm adding everything in the current directory that I'm in. All right. Okay, and that basically stages whatever files that I just added, so they're ready to be committed. And then I want to commit my changes, and we'll just call this the initial commit. So I'll say git commit, and then -m is just the message that I want to add to it. So we'll just say this is the initial. Whoops. Okay. So now we again have a new Git repo with everything already committed, so that's good. And then one thing to note, inside my git ignore, I've got my node modules, and then I think inside the public directory, let me just double check here.
Sets up a Git ignore for you.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe I deleted that. So let me, public, oh shoot, okay, yeah, I just committed my dist folder too, so that's kind of sucky. Let me change something real quick. So let's just add, we'll say I don't want my public dist folder to be included. So then what I'll do is I'll remove that from the cache so that it's no longer part of my repo, because that tends to be a pretty sizable folder, as you guys have seen, like when you've tried to upload your projects. So we'll say git rm -cat --cached, and then I'm removing my public dist folder. Oh, but I have to, since this is recursively, it's a folder, you have to add this -r option to it. So we'll go -r. Okay, so notice here that it has removed all of these files from tracking. So now if I commit again, I'll be committing without those files in my repo. And that's good because it'll keep the repository smaller. All right? So let's go git status, and we see we have all of these files that have been deleted from the repo. So we'll add those, and then we'll commit it one more time. So we'll just say removed dist folder. Okay, cool. Now, what else am I going to need in order to actually deploy this? So I've got my local repository here. I need another repo somewhere else, no? On GitHub, yeah. All right. So let's go to GitHub and set one up. Go to GitHub. Sign in. Okay. Cool. So we're going to do a new repository here. And then we'll call this Rate My Cakes. Okay, I'm going to make this public. You guys should be making yours private because obviously you're doing, this is for the exam, right? Create the repo. Okay, cool. So it gives you the instructions down here. If we want to push our local repository up to this one, we can just simply use these instructions right here. It's just 2 lines. Okay, so the first thing is that we are adding a origin, which is the remote repository. And then the second line is that we're actually taking all of the contents of our local repository, pushing those up to the remote. Okay, so let's just run these guys here. Oh, crap. Hang on one second. I'm going to do it by SSH, which you guys probably won't do, but I want to do this because I have my keys stored. And that way I won't need to like look up my password and LastPass or whatever. So here, one second. Okay, so we need to change the remote origin to use SSH. Git remote set URL origin master, I think it is, like this. No such URL found. Isn't this fun when we hit errors like this? I just love it. Alright, so that is indeed my SSH remote. So I want to go git remote origin set URL. Hang on one second. Okay, there we go. So that should be okay. So let me try to push to this real quick. Oh, and then we have to use this. So basically, this is going to set a locally, it's going to say our local branch master is also tracking the remote branch master. Okay, so we just got to run this guy. Excellent. So now we're pushing up. Let's make sure that this stuff got into my remote repository. All right. So we've got our files here, and let's just see. So notice that our dist folder has been removed. That's good because we wanted to keep our repo kind of small, right? Now I believe the next step we're going to do is we need to actually we're going to have to go to AWS and set up a remote server, all right? And if you guys are planning to deploy, make sure that you do this ahead of time, that you get your AWS account all set up, because sometimes there's some delay in when you can actually launch a server. So if you try to do it last minute, then you could run into some problems. Yes, Tom?
If we set one up for Python,
Python?
can we use the same thing, just do a different?
Yeah, you'll just have to go through some of the installs here. So obviously the one that you set up for Python doesn't have Node on it. It doesn't have Mongo. So you'll still need to install some things.
Okay.
But you could use it.
But that initial account creation that you're talking about, that I would.
Yeah, that would be if you simply didn't have an AWS account yet. Yeah, so you need to set that up.
All right, thanks.
Right. So let's go inside our AWS here. So AWS we want to go to the console, sign into the console here, and then we want to go to EC2, right? Because we're going to try to launch a new instance. So I don't have any running instances right now. So let's launch an instance. And the one that I think we're looking for, if I remember correctly, is 18.04, so Ubuntu server. And then notice here, this is kind of a key detail. We want to look for the free tier eligible, because you guys don't want to be charged for this. So let's select that guy right there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Low to moderate network performance. Let's do some configuring. So we need to change the security groups, right? Was that part of this? Has anyone done this yet? Okay, no. All right, so we have to set the security settings. And as you can see, we've got to set the SSH to anywhere or my IP. The difference between these two is that if we set it to anywhere, that means that I can access the server through SSH from home or from the dojo or from anywhere else. If I set it to my IP, your IP address is going to change when you go home versus when you're here. So you may want to do anywhere. There's probably not really a whole lot of risk in doing that. And then we'll also set HTTP to anywhere and HTTPS to anywhere, or don't set it. We can probably skip this because we're not even going to be running HTTPS, at least for this deployment. So let's just do those top two. So here we want to go to configure, where is that thing? Configure security group here. Okay, and the SSH, again, we can set to be anywhere. And then we're going to add a rule so that HTTP is going to be anywhere as well. Do you guys know why we're doing this? The HTTP rule?
So people can visit our site anywhere.
Exactly. Exactly. And specifically, it would be whoever is grading your exam. Because probably nobody else is going to see this. All right, let's review and launch. Okay, it's open to the world. Yes, I know that. Okay, let's go ahead and launch this guy. Now we get to the whole key pair part. You guys would probably remember this from before in Python. I can choose an existing key pair, or I can create a new pair. Not sure that I have any existing key pairs, so let's just call this mean key pair, and then we'll download that guy. Okay. Now we're launching our instance, and you can see it's been launched here. Now we can go to view instances to actually take a look at this thing. And I should be able to, whoops, I can't click on it yet because it's still working. But once we create that key pair, we need to actually change the ownership of that, right? So we're going to modify the permissions in here. So let's go. We need to do chmod 400, and then we're going to say the name of the key pair .pem. So let me open up a new terminal here. It's going to be in my downloads folder. So we'll say chmod 400, and then that was mean key pair .pem, right? Okay, so we changed the permissions on that guy. Let's see if our instance is ready to go. Okay, so now it's running. And then you can click on this connect right here. So basically this is telling us what we already know, but we needed to change the permissions on the key pair. And then this is telling us how we can actually connect to it, right? So for example, if we want to do it through SSH, which is what we want, we can follow this command down here where we say SSH-I, the name of the key pair, and then you see we've got the user, Ubuntu, at this long address over here. Oops. Get to the end of that. And then let's go into the terminal and actually connect. Actually, I'll do it on my other one. my key's in here, so let's just do it here. Okay, so now it's going to ask you if it's going to say the authenticity of this host can't be confirmed. You have to say yes to basically add it to your computer as an approved location. Oops, you got to type out yes. My bad. Okay, so now you can see that we're actually in the server. We've got this little green down here telling us that we're now logged in. Cool. So let's just start following the instructions and get everything loaded up there. All right, so we're inside our cloud server right now. The first two things that we're going to do is we're going to run these update and install commands. Grab these guys, super simple. All right, and then while we're waiting for that to happen, let's keep going. So here you can see that we're actually going to install Node itself because we need that to be able to run our project. And then Node.js legacy. Not entirely sure why we need Node legacy, but let's install it anyway. And I think that, okay, well, we won't get there because I think this should work okay, but we're still installing everything that we set up before. Okay, so we're good to go. So let's install Node itself. Package Node.js-legacy has no installation candidate. All right. So there we go. Well, what they were saying here is that if you have trouble with Node.js-legacy, then run these commands. So actually, apt-get install npm, or actually, I'm sorry, this one right here. So we're going to do Node.js. Didn't we already just do this though? Oh, this is not apt-get. It's just apt. Has no installation candidate. This may mean that the package missing has been obsoleted or is only available from another source. Okay, so they're telling us Node.js replaces this anyway. So I don't know. Hopefully we don't need it. Let's keep going. All right, so the other thing we need to install is npm. And then looks like we are cleaning the npm cache. Not entirely sure why. There probably won't be anything in the npm cache right now, right? Abort? Yeah. You're absolutely right. Whoops. Why can't I get to? Alright, let me check that again. So sudo npm cache clean. Alright. Did I run that wrong? True. Sudo npm cache clean -f to force it. Oh, because it didn't even install npm yet, right? Okay. Okay, so let's do this, and this time we'll say y with the, okay. We had to do a capital Y there, so everyone be aware of that. It's just some small little thing that could trip you up. Okay. Some stuff going on here. Okay, so now we'll run the npm cache clean. I think I had that in here already. I sure hope you know what you're doing. Oh. I don't know if maybe they put that in the instructions just to kind of give you guys a laugh, or because like, do we need to forcibly clean the cache if we just installed npm? I don't know.
This will be an interesting comment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to install this package globally called N, and then we're going to update N. It looks like, or Let's run this real quick. Sudo unstable. Okay. So that looks like it worked. And you can see here that we installed 10.16.3. That's what pretty much all you guys are running locally, right? Mostly. Okay. All right, cool. Let's keep going here. So the node version, if we do node-v, it'll tell us what we're on. And again, that's going to be 10.16.3, so that's good. Now down here, we also want to install a couple things, Nginx and Git. You guys know what both of these are? Yeah, so Nginx is a web server. Git is just going to be, it's a program that allows us to do version control, which we were obviously using on our local. Okay, so those installed, or they tried to. Remember to use that capital Y. All right.
What?
I thought I said yes, but it aborted. It's like it timed out or something. That was so weird. Which one did it abort? Installing Nginx? Oh yeah, it did. Alright. Yeah, it just aborted because I didn't say yes immediately. It's like, dang. Somebody's impatient. Alright, now let's install Git as well. So sudo apt git install Git. Oh, was that already installed? Yeah, I thought the second one didn't run because it didn't install Nginx, right? I don't know. Maybe Git was already on there somehow. Alright, so now we got to make our file folder. This is going to be where we're going to house our project. And then we need to actually cd into that. Oh, it already exists. Okay. So there's another like small little thing. It's not really a hiccup, but it's like they're telling you to create this folder, but it's already there. So we don't need to do that. We just need to cd into it. Okay. And then what we're going to do is clone our project. So let's go back to our Rate My Cakes project here. And then if I want to clone this, where the heck is it? Up in here somewhere, no? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think I went to... Okay, here we go. So here it'll tell you you can clone it, and normally I would clone it with SSH, but because we're on the remote server and the remote server doesn't have the keys that my computer does, we're just going to use HTTPS. So I'll grab that guy. Alright, and so what we can say is git clone the name of the full path to the repo. Well, I gotta go sudo git clone then. Whoops. Alright, so now we actually have Rate My Cakes in here, and if I ls here, you can see I've got the Rate My Cakes folder, so that's nice. Okay, next. So we cloned our project, and at this point you should be able to change directories into it and run the server. Now there are a couple things that probably won't work as we expect. One of them is that we moved the dist folder from our repo, so we're actually going to have to rebuild the Angular project as well. Right? The other thing is that we haven't installed all of our dependencies on the remote server just yet. So remember how we put node modules in our git ignore? So they're not actually in the repo. We have to install. Okay, so let's just go down here. The first thing that we're going to do, so I'm not going to bother with any of this stuff. You guys can play with it on your own, but it's basically telling you could try to run the project, but it's not going to work. All right? Not yet. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set up Nginx, which is going to be our web server. So we're going to cd into this, which is the sites available directory. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do sudo vim and then the name of the project. You guys remember vim from Python a little bit? Yeah. Okay, so then we'll do rate my cakes. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to paste in this code, just being careful that we have a couple things that we need to replace. So anytime that we see these double curly braces, we need to replace that information, right? And I'm going to do that inside VS Code just to make my life a little bit easier. You could do it in Vim if you're a, I don't know, if you're a glutton for punishment. But up here, let's just, Jesus. Let's paste that in there. And then the two things we need to replace are going to be the private IP and then the node project port. Okay? Now, this may vary for you guys depending on what port you guys are running your Express applications on. I'm running this particular one, I think, on 3000. And let me check so that I don't mess things up here. Yeah, we're running this on 3000. So let's replace this port with 3000. And then we also need to paste in our private IP of our instance. So down here, you'll see the private IP right in there. I'm just going to copy this guy, replace it here. Oops. Okay, now everything's good to go. I can just essentially copy and paste this in back into Vim. Let's do that. Oh, you know what? I messed up, didn't I? What do we do, or how do we insert in Vim? Gotta do I, right? Hold on 1 second here. Whoa. Quit. Quit. Alright, so let's do this one more time. I insert that text, and then we're going to escape to get out of insert mode, and then we're going to do :WQ, meaning that we're going to write and then quit. Okay, so let's keep going here. Next, we need to remove the defaults from from the Nginx sites available, so we can just do this guy. And to show you guys that it's there, you'll see that we have this default configuration there. We're just going to remove that. Don't need that. And then what we're doing is we're creating a symbolic link from this particular file that's inside of our sites available to sites enabled. Okay? Notice that again we need to do some replacements here, so I'll probably do that in VS Code. So if I go back to code here, let's get rid of that. Whoops. And then I'll just do a find and replace, project name, and then I'll just replace that with rate my cakes, place all. Okay, let's grab this guy, go back to our terminal. Oops. Okay, so we created our symbolic link. Let's keep going here. Remove the defaults from sites enabled. Okay. Let's do that real quick. Cool. Alright, next what we're going to do is we're going to install something called PM2. Does anybody know what this is? Process manager. Very good. Very good. Alright. So this will enable us to keep the node project running without having it open in a terminal. So when we're doing our local development, you know how we always have our Express terminal open? We won't have to do it once we start using PM2. Okay? So let's do that. sudo npm I-g for global, and we'll install pm2. While we're waiting for that, let's keep going down here. They just give you some examples of things that you can try. So we could try to start our server right now. Obviously that won't work because we haven't yet installed our dependencies, right? Okay, so let's keep working down. So the next thing that we want to do is actually install our dependencies in the remote version. So now that we're done, we need to go back to our rate my cakes folder, right? var www rate my cakes. Okay, now we'll go sudo npm install. Okay, and then we're not using Bower, but let's keep going here. So we also have to set up MongoDB, right? So let's try to do this. I'm going to grab this to set up a key. Oops. Okay, so the key was imported. And then we are doing, wow, look at this. This is MongoDB version 3.4. I guess this hasn't been updated in a while. Alright, so let's try this, the 16.04 version. Oops. Okay. And then we want to do the update. And then finally we're going to install MongoDB. A rather old version, I might add. Okay. Okay, so it looks like that went through without a hitch. Next, we want to actually start the MongoDB service. So sudo service MongoDB start. Oops.
Should we install a more recent version, or should we just go with what's in the platform?
I would just go with what's here. It's not really going to make any difference for you guys, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, so we started it. Now let's actually sudo MongoDB. What was happening here? Oh, that's if we were having trouble. So we didn't actually want to run sudo MongoDB. We already started the service, right? So let's not do that. All right, so the next thing we want to do is restart our PM2 project, which we hadn't even started yet at all. But what else do I need to do? Something that's not in the platform, but because I removed the dist folder, I need to actually rebuild my Angular project, right? Now, if you guys follow the platform completely, you'll have your dist folder, so you won't have to do this. But I'm just going to show you guys anyway. So let's go inside the public folder, and then we want to do sudo npm install to install all the Angular dependencies, right? Because Angular has its own node modules folder inside of it. Then we're going to have to install the Angular command line, huh? I just realized that. Ugh. All right. Would you like to share anonymous usage data? No. Okay. So in order to build this, obviously, I need to have the Angular command line, right? So I can go sudo npm I-g Angular CLI. I guess I should have just kept the dist folder. Man. Alright, so let's go ng build. So we're not going to do -- watch because we're not going to make any changes to it. The local Angular CLI version is used. Oh no, there's a version mismatch. Whew. Hope that doesn't cause any problems with the build. Oh no. Permission denied. Oh, I need to run that with sudo, right? Ng build. Yeah, sorry about the detour. Next time we'll just keep the dist folder. %. Okay, cool. So this time it looks like it's building successfully, so that's good news. Okay, excellent. Let's go back out one level to our main project folder, and now we should be able to do pm2 start server.js. Okay, and then if we ever want to see our process or our processes that are running, we can always say pm2 status. And they'll tell us, okay, we've got this one thing that's online right now. And then finally, the other thing that we need to do is we need to reload our Nginx. Okay? So we're going to reload Nginx, and then we're going to restart it, and that should make everything available on our server. All right. Now our public IP, again, is right here. Let's just copy that and let's go to it. Hey, who's ready to rate some cakes? Let's throw one in there. So baker name. Josh is my baker. Let's go grab an image of a cake. Images. Cake. Ooh, look at that one.
That's the one I'm looking at.
That's pretty sweet. Alright, so let's grab the image address, copy image address, and then I'll drop that in here. Cool, now we have a cake. We can rate that bad boy 3. Yeah, could be better. ... Alright, there it is. Rate my cakes. Pretty exciting, right? Yeah, my CSS styling is on point, right?
Yep.
Could be better.
Could be better, yeah. The CSS styling could be better. So there it is, guys. That's deployment. If you're going to do it on Friday, make sure that you practice it ahead of time. Just get your server up and running so that when you're all tired and stuff, you can still get through it.
Do we have like an hour after